Welcome back to The Real Deal, everybody. This is Doug Cooke, your favorite talk show host. You've seen me do sports, you've seen me do politics, you've seen me do economics, you've probably seen me do some other things that I don't want anybody to know about. But this is me, this is Doug Cooke. Hey, I'm here serving my community, okay, giving you the real deal on the current issues of our day. I'm not getting paid for this. Now, what is the real deal all about, people? Why do I call it the real deal? Because I want to filter through the media bias and all these other things and lying politicians that are telling us things that just simply aren't true, that people believe anyway. I'm tired of this crap. What do I want on the real deal? Am I biased? Oh, you better believe it, I'm biased. Oh, wait a minute, there's no bias on TV. Ha ha ha. Yes, there is. Oh, but there is, my friend. There's a lot of bias on TV. What's my bias? Well, I want what's best for America and for society. What do I want? I want everybody to be happy, wealthy, and wise. I want this to be a fun and good society. I want this to continue to be the best country on earth. I want it to be the richest country on earth, the best economically, the strongest country, and the most compassionate country. I want people to be all they can be. I don't want people burdened by overtaxation without representation and by pork barrel government spending that's out of control. That's what I don't want. What I want is what's best for us and best for America. I want us to all be happy. I really do. Are all of us happy? I doubt it. Congressional approval ratings are hovering around 10% right now. Are you happy with Congress? Might have to think about that for a while. Let's talk about some economic principles first. Well, what's our current economic situation? I see the Dow Jones hovering around $9,500, about 9.5 thousand at the last instance there. Well, that graphic just tells it all, doesn't it? I mean, it's been in kind of a free fall. It's been steadily declining over the past year, and just recently with this whole, this whole bailout process, the doom and gloom, the sky is falling, all these other things that are happening have caused this Dow to spiral down. It's spiraling downward now. And then they announced the bailout bill and it continued to spiral downward. What's that all about? I thought that was supposed to help everything. Well, it may help in the long run, but it's not helping right now. And why? Because this is a global economy. Everybody is counting on the United States dollar to remain strong, and it's weakening. And global markets around the world that are not American are weakening based on the U.S. dollar and the Dow Jones. If this country toppled today, global economy would collapse. All the other countries are going to slide off the edge of the world with us, because they are very reliant and intertwined with what's going on in America. So how do we avoid a collapse in the global economy? Well, that's what this bailout package is supposed to do. They thought that people in Congress, as well as the President and Secretary of Treasury, thought that this was important enough, what's going on with the housing crisis and the lending crisis, that they had to intervene, they had to step in and get something done. Did they have to get $700 billion worth done? I don't know. Did they have to get another $150 billion worth of pork done after that? I don't know about that either. But let's look at this. Here's what's actually happening. The lenders can renegotiate default loans at 90% of the home value. Lenders will get more equity in return once the equity goes back up again. These notes that are bought by the government are only bought by the government if the house still forecloses, okay? If the lender chooses to participate in this plan and get the government to bail them out, what they have to do is renegotiate this note with the borrower that owns the house, the homeowner. Okay, they have to say, look, we can rewrite this loan based on 90% of the current value. So if you have a home, all right, you make $50,000 a year, and somehow they gave you a $300,000 home, and you're not married, you have no other source of income. And they gave you a $300,000 or more home, and then you can't afford it anymore. It was once worth $400,000, let's say. Now it's worth $300,000. Whatever the case may be, the value is declining. What happens is, if it's worth $300,000 on the loan and it's only worth $200,000 now, then the lender will say, okay, we can rewrite you a loan for $180,000 for a 30-year fixed mortgage, which is better than what you were paying a $300,000 deal on a fixed mortgage. So your mortgage, automatically, you're going down from whatever you paid up front, I don't know, from $2,500 to maybe $1,500 a month. Okay, and now you're actually able as a homeowner to stay in that house. Now, if the lender chooses to participate in this plan and you still can't afford to stay in your house, or for whatever reason it doesn't work, that's when the government steps in and buys out that loan, buys that bad loan, and then that's when the government actually writes a check. So theoretically, the $700 billion probably won't all be spent, but we all know the government, they'll probably find a way to spend it, but theoretically it shouldn't be spent except in the case that these loans still go to foreclosure, even after given the good deal by the lender participating, trying to bail out their own company. Okay, so what I wanted to explain is this isn't handing over $700 billion to Wall Street and saying, here, go do whatever you want with it. That's not what it is. Nobody is telling the truth about this on the radio or on TV. They're calling it a handout. They're pointing fingers. Republicans are pointing fingers at Democrats. Democrats are pointing fingers at Republicans and anybody else. And there's finger pointing going all different directions, and nobody's actually telling the truth about this. But the truth about it is that homeowners that are problematic now can get saved by this. Should they have been lent the homes in the first place if they could not afford them? I don't think so. I don't think so. But your Senators Chris Dodd and Barney Frank, may have something to say about that, because they're the ones that fought the oversight that was persuaded to them very strongly by the president and other Congress members. They needed more oversight to these lending conditions where people were making $50,000 a year and buying $400,000 homes that they could not afford. And then they were losing their jobs, or they were losing the equity and panicking. And you know how the economy is going now? People are starting to get laid off. It's not a good situation for the homeowner. Unfortunately, what happens is that the lenders are going out of business. And businesses are having trouble extending credit to they're tightening down on extending credit to other businesses, especially small businesses. Small business owners, if you've talked to a lot of them, they are terrified by this action. I mean, if they're not on a contract with the federal government, in which case they'll always get their money as long as they have that contract. But small business owners that are running the mom and pop shop or whatever else, a business that is dependent on other people or other businesses, they're terrified about what's going on right now with the credit and lending crisis, because without the credit, these companies don't have a lot of capital. Even the small business that are rich, according to Barack Obama, making $250,000 a year. Well, in this area, that may pay you 4 or 5 employees at the most. Okay, that's not a huge money-making business. Okay, but they may not be able to pay those employees if they don't get their borrowing and lending done through these banks. If they can't borrow the capital, they don't have, they may not have hundreds of thousands of dollars in capital with which they can buy and pay their employees while waiting for other people to pay them that may or may not pay them because of their lending problems with another institution or because their bank closed down. It's very scary for many small businesses now. Big corporations, not as scary. We've already seen AIG take their golden parachutes over to California, float down on the beach to some paradise hotel and have a good old time with their buyout package from the federal government. And by the way, I don't want to see any of that anymore again, and I don't think any of you do either.